David's going to put in a big 3-bet here. I mean, correctly sized, but big, with pocket kings, and Francisco has ace king. David just put in a big 4-bet a couple hands ago with pocket tens. And you would think that alone would earn him some action. Not to mention the fact that Francisco is a monster. He's going to jam.
I was thinking 100, but not more. If there are 4 call, I would call because the flop would...
And David can't call fast enough.
Open 3 times. Open for
And I believe they're going to run out 2 boards.
Alright, 3 times.
King? Oh, dude.
Francisco can't believe it.
I had 3s, I guarantee it. Oh my god!
Jeremy?
Now there was a set of 3s out there somewhere.
Suicide
They're just gone.
Oh.
Come on, suicide.
1?
Nothing there for Francisco on the first board.
3 again.
3.
Where's my set?
Oh. You had decent?
And David's going to get the full double with pocket kings.
David's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
100.
Everybody calls I raise. 3 cards more I raise.
No, why one person already folds?
1, 2.
Jeremy bumps it up here with pocket nines.
Let me see how much I
I
raise.
trust you, so that's why I
Let
fold.
me see.
Going to see a ton of calls.
Make it 200.
It wasn't binding.
That's hefty. You said everybody calls me, right? I didn't call. I gave.
And then I changed it 3 more. I changed it 3 more cards.
I believe Gil made it
Let Jeremy do
200
his thing.
with 6 deuce offsuit, which is fun.
Bump up? Do we do a bump up, guys? Do we do?
Oh, it's coming. Oh, JJ.
Do we make a bump up? Kill
Got
it?
change? Yeah.
I think if I were Jeremy, I would love just
Is everybody okay?
4-betting here.
Everybody checks the flop, okay?
There's really no reason to think anybody has a better hand than you do. But Jeremy does elect to call, which seems okay too. Jack 7-5 on the flop. David takes the lead.
Everyone checks the flop.
Alright, he says my
Ah!
you guys.
We're playing standard poker.
Check.
Now we want to check the 3.
Oh, 100. Oh. Silly.
Now Jeremy's going to bet, only he's not ahead anymore. Yeah, I believe this is on the turn. Oh, wow.
Make it 2200.
Wow, Gil came to play.
Yeah, okay, no problem, no problem.
He's going to bump this up to 2200 with 6 high
Thank you.
and only a gut shot.
Guys, you want some water? Julie?
Good stuff.
Jeremy really has to fold.
Thank you, brother.
No problem.
Not even so much because of Gil, but
Take my keys. Yeah, tips, I used to do it.
because of David behind him as well.
Alright, let's go. Heads up.
David's going to call, which makes some sense to me. I mean, Gil's line does not really make a whole lot of sense. And oh boy, he just hit the gutter.
Ah, you have
He
it? Because
shoves.
I thought I have my keys.
And David calls, and Gil's going to win a massive pot with 6 deuce off.
Oh my god, I fold 5-3.
Gut shot, baby. Gut shot, baby.
3 bets pre
I told you. I
from
knew
100 to
the
200
From the gate, I knew what was going to happen the whole way.
from the big blind. Checks the flop,
From
raises
the
huge
gate,
on the
I knew I
turn,
was going to. It was a great flop.
then spikes the straight on the river. That's a $14,000
I had
pot.
5-3, so
Alright, new dealer. Good luck. Thank you.
I call. I don't raise now, so it's hard days nowadays. You know. Yeah. Sammy, it's pretty deep now. I know. Somebody.
Julia raising it up here from the small blind, excuse me, with King 10 suited.
It's basically the exact same lineup, except for instead of
She's going to get 3 calls, it looks like.
you and Nick, and then it was Dennis instead of Jeremy. No, Gills came in late, but like he played yesterday. Maybe it was after the stream. Who else was it then?
Haracha flops top pair here. Julie does have backdoor diamonds and a couple overs.
225. Of course, I should know that. I got an aces versus
I'd probably be looking to just check here, but I can see the logic in betting.
And then Guido got an ace-9 suited.
Francisco's bottom pair.
Kings.
With 2 diamond board. and
He's
they
going to
got a set of kings
continue.
ran twice, and Guido got there both times.
Is it a 8-25?
He's going to continue with a raise, which I kind of like. His hand's not really good enough to overcall with just bottom pair.
How much are you playing? Can I?
It doesn't seem super likely that this board would hit Julie all that hard. And Haracha doesn't look all that strong either when he just calls.
825. I learned from him, don't re-raise, just call. Keep on calling, it's more pressure on the...
Oh, I can do that?
Yeah, check.
Check.
Haracha going to continue here. We'll see if Francisco keeps up the aggression here on the turn.
Customer?
So Kitty's games are going to be the week of LAPC. Is that what that is?
It's another big bet from Francisco.
Let's go with you, alright?
Yes.
Haracha's still not a believer.
Hey, how do you say you're welcome in French? I forgot.
Voyons. Je vous en prie.
Really?
Je ne pas
I
le
know everything.
The only French I learned was playing poker in Montreal, just because the dealers all have
So
to
from
say
Haracha's perspective,
everything has to be, yeah.
it seems like the hands that Francisco's representing are pocket fives, pocket deuces. There aren't a lot of two-pair combinations that are out there. I think he might be concerned about something like Jack X of hearts also.
Not in Montreal.
It seems unlikely that Francisco would raise the flop and keep firing with a hand like ace-7.
15.
Haracha decides there are enough bluffs here for him to
That's what I was
continue.
thinking, just 15, stop call.
He might be right. Oh, Francisco makes two pair on the river.
I can bet like 300.
This is a card that Haracha should know is not good for him. But it's probably the kind of thing he's going to watch the broadcast late tonight and be like, wow, I got pretty unlucky. Francisco shoves here. And there's just not a lot of money back.
Oh, there's mostly I lose like that.
Yeah, Haracha's going to call and see the bad news. He was right the
I
whole
know
way.
that he didn't have anything. Really, I know that he didn't have anything.
$7,500 pot for Francisco.
I want to show on the flop. I know that he doesn't have
Big
anything.
John
but I say,
raises
no,
it up.
And you told them.
Keep him in.
And Gil puts in a light 3-bet with 10-9 offsuit.
Right, you're bluffing. Queen.
How you win that tournament, man? They call me second bird?
Jeremy cold calls. David cold calls.
Yeah, I should do the best.
Julie cold calls. This could be a massive pot. Big John's in there as well.
Oh my God, how many people?
Damn, you have been.
Haracha probably figures he has to continue. I think actually he could just let this go.
If you fall, I go to three.
It's going to be really hard to win a hand like this 6 ways with King 8 offsuit, but he's going to come along.
What was the race? 50?
Ten, 9, 6, so 2 pair for Gil.
See the queen? My heart's almost go out.
Overs and a gutter for both Julie and Jeremy.
I'm gonna open the school. Damn.
Gutters also for Haracha and David.
You only teach everything? You were right, but I get lucky.
I know. That's okay.
What do you call this second pair? 1,500?
First, why second pair? The top pair.
Gil's going to bet pretty big here and get action from 3 players. We've already got an $8,300 pot going here.
4 players. Are you were sure I have it right?
Wow.
Check.
So Gil presumably praying for a blank and does not get one.
No, when I bet 2,000 on the turn.
Might not have much choice but to go with it, given the stacks behind. So Julie now has an open-ender with plus a flush draw.
Please don't forget JJ, okay?
Kitty,
Oh,
I promise.
oh shit.
After the show, you can tell me. I'll show you that I sent that.
She's going to come along. And Hiracha's put himself in a pretty nasty spot here.
Yeah, just blind one more time.
All in for less?
Yeah, for less.
I save you $200.
He's going to hope for a 7 on the river, I guess. Or what does he need? An 8? A king? An 8 or a king?
8, 205, 1205. There.
Okay, it's 800.
He's getting absurd odds though, given the limited number of chips he had behind.
No, I guess it's fine.
Heads up on the side.
Now I don't have to be nervous, right?
Good luck. Yeah, it's over.
It's over.
Nice get a lucky sweat.
Oh wow, Julie gets there on the river making the nuts.
All in? All you can eat.
She moves in. This is a disgusting spot for Gil. Not much reason to think she's bluffing, because with Hiracha all in, she's betting into a side pot that has no money in it. So Gil puts in the light 3-bet, smashes the flop, and then gets a terrible run out and has to decide whether his 2-pair might still be good.
That's 5,000 here.
Good fold.
When you wear
Julie's going to win a 22... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a pot of about $11,000. It's nice to backdoor the nuts. A few calls here. Big John makes it 80.
80?
And then Gall said,
He's going to get a lot of action with that raise
Julie's not
size.
that wouldn't be Julie's car or something. And then he was like, unless she's she's on the passenger side. Maybe she's in a neighbor.
Oh shit,
pretty funny.
I think I would prefer a larger raise. I mean, I think for this game, you could pretty easily just raise to 150 or so with any hand you want to be in there with.
Check.
Gil flops top 2-pair here.
What? With the bet of 270.
Gutter for Jeremy. Big John still with the overpair.
Big diesel.
Big diesel.
Top pair, top kicker for Francisco, and he's the one who bets.
Oh, because 6-3, eh?
500. Double. 550. He doubles it. 550. Thank you, correct.
Big John min raises,
Oh,
which you can see what the logic for that is, but it's going to get him into some trouble this time when Gil does whatever he does. Yeah, so Gil raises it up again to 2,000 with top 2-pair here. Francisco and Big John both find themselves in sort of a spot here.
John goes all you can eat.
I should check.
And Big John's going to jam it in.
You're behind.
All in and a call.
Quick call from Gil.
Ace come for sure.
Once or twice.
They're
They went
both
all in.
on-
You guys wanna
they're
open?
both on draws though.
Open it.
All right.
6,
2 times.
Jack.
Now run
I have 9.
the turn
nine
over 2
ace.
times.
I gave him a good swipe,
I
but it wasn't
guarantee
good
the
enough.
ace coming.
1.
Gil gets the first board. And the second board. So Big John gets stacked here,
69.
and a big
Anybody
pot
listen
for
to Howard
Gil with the 6-9. That's an $8,200
He
pot.
always yells out, 69.
John already 40 club.
Garrett,
40 no limit.
20, 40.
How many pros do you think are
Calls.
waiting in
Yeah,
line
50. He makes
to
it
get
50.
into this game. Oh my god.
I have 3 cards. I
I
have
just saw
Jack,
Justin
King,
Bonham
Ace.
walk by.
Raise it.
Por eso recién. Si viene la
475.
Jack. Oh.
470.
It's 50,
Yeah, but that's why right now I have
475.
Jack, King.
Raise here from Haracha.
In my mind.
Service, please.
JJ,
Service.
what time does the
Gil
stream
puts in a
end?
big 3-bet
9:45.
Can I get food service?
with Queen Jack suited. I'm not sure if those
At least
graphics are right. Looks like they are.
At least the Fridays.
Wow, big 3-bet. Jeremy comes along.
Yeah.
Haracha comes
I have
along
to
as
leave an
well.
hour early. I have to leave before all the traffic
Three
starts
players.
to get here for these evening
Check.
games.
Gil does flop best.
Wow, bet is 500.
Well, what would you guys do if I was
Middle
on
pair
top?
for both Haracha and Jeremy. Gil bets small here.
Game. If the game starts 7, we told you we start 5.
Wouldn't really be surprised to see anything from Haracha here.
Really, no matter what.
He goes for the raise,
No, my beef is when you guys tell me the
which is
game's
kind of
gonna
cool.
be
His
at
hand
10
probably isn't
noon, and I'm
good enough to call
I
with,
already made my plans.
and it's a board that should hit him a lot harder than it hits Gil.
Me too.
In my Pilates outfit.
He's still depending on Gil to fold though,
Ryan
and
was like, we'll start a Pilates.
based on what we've seen so far, I'm not sure if that's in the
They
offing or
have
not.
wine gardens in that room back there.
Gil does come along.
They have workouts.
Jeremy folds.
Some guy likes to work out back there during.
That's over in that party pit area?
Not party pit in the back room and the high stakes, yeah.
Spade flush completes
No,
on the
no,
turn.
there's weight- no,
Obviously
there's
does
weights
not
and
hit
there's,
either player, although
elastic
Haracha now
things,
picks up a
the
gut shot.
elasters.
Wow, I haven't been paying attention.
Somebody works out there.
He's going to keep firing.
1100, 1100.
Exercise ball.
This is interesting. It's a pretty small
somebody
bet.
gave
It's
Lynn-
smaller than his raise on the
There's
flop.
$1,000 if she bounces on the ball for an hour.
I'm not sure if this is going to be a prelude to a big bet on
And after 20
turn,
minutes, it's like,
or excuse me, on the river, because if it's not, I'm not totally sure what the purpose of it
Like,
is.
no, I'm gonna win
Things you
the.
would do and things you wouldn't do for $1,000.
Neither player is going to like that ace very much.
Maybe. Nah. 5 minutes, it would be like.
I'd watch you bounce on the ball.
Well, that's why they wanted her to bounce.
I get it.
Obviously.
I'm just saying, I would watch you do it.
But I was
I'd let you
literally
do it.
like, she's sitting at the table bouncing up and down. It's so hard to watch. It's like makes me seasick.
All in. Harachi goes all you can eat.
Haracha shoves.
She was
Wow.
wearing layers, so it wasn't a throw.
Wow.
So fucking
Quick fold from Gil.
Hirasha!
Big bluff from Haracha gets through. That's a $10,000
So
pot.
hard.
I had 9-7 a heart.
This game. I didn't play this game.
Look at
Re-raise 500.
Get a race here from Big John. Very light. 3 calls, and David's going to bump it up with King Queen off. We see that his timing is quite good.
It was almost a.
Got a bunch of weak hands in there and a bunch of hands he dominates.
John, you're so quiet up there, man. You
I
have to
had
be
Jay, I
around
was like
me
500
to
folds. 500
enjoy the game.
Haracha going to come along with Queen 10 off.
All right, let's go three-way.
And Jeremy coming along with King 10 off. This is just actually kind of a dream scenario here for David.
Anchor.
Interesting flop. All spades.
it's 8, right?
David and Jeremy both have top pair and a flush draw.
It's 5 against 3 right now.
We don't open any more cards.
8.
David obviously better in both categories.
Call.
Ooh. King 3 again?
Flush comes in on the turn.
Go
How
ahead.
did you just make that appear? That was amazing.
That was weird. That was
Could see this go check, check.
Do that.
Yeah, I like it.
They know it's coming.
And now if Jeremy checks, David's either way, if Jeremy bets or if he checks, David's going to make sure a bet
1500.
gets put in here on the river.
Call.
Yep. $6,300 pot for
am I?
David with King Queen off. Nice hand.
Any good
All right, Haracha flops trips this time.
has been sitting. They're all like paired or.
Pocket tens for JJ, which could get him in a little bit of trouble. He does bet 300. Sneaky call from Haracha.
We're going to call Gil the Cowie.
David has trips as
The
well.
Kobe.
I fold.
Pretty sick.
I don't like bumpers. I don't care.
Haracha's sneaky. Oh, wow. And David's just going to call with trips as well.
No, it's not because
So JJ leads out small.
I just don't like bumpers.
4 players.
and is probably going to be quite confused by the action he's seen. We still don't know Julie's hand.
No.
Obviously, we know she doesn't have a 7.
He used to ask for
Check.
it. I don't like it.
See if if Haracha decides to take the lead here. He does, which makes sense. David probably loving this. He calls.
What a game. What a life.
Julie lets it go.
Heads up.
This is real.
And good fold by JJ.
That was real.
Always,
What's
man.
going on?
What do you have?
I check.
Check.
And Haracha checks,
1500?
1500.
which is going to work out quite well. He just calls now.
You guys
Wow.
You good?
fucking got there on the river. God damn it.
The bump you can have 5-6, but that's why I'm just
I was hoping for the.
Haracha's going to take down a big
I
one
have
here.
5-6.
Wow.
You folding it too?
Would you
Go 5 ways to the flop here.
Has anyone ever told you you don't need more crack? Come on.
That's like telling
And flush draw for
kids
Jared.
more alcohol. Yeah, right.
Trips though for Big
You're
John.
Xing all the time. Like, what do you need a bump strap?
Overpair for Gil.
The game's gotten a little
Pretty interesting
driving
flop.
Maybe like 900 per flop. This has really gone down.
David's going to come along with Queen 10 off.
Yeah, we should.
One dog,
We should just.
You guys are wusses, that's all.
Or what?
Wusses.
What's
Wusses.
it? I'm saying to make it bigger. How is that ridiculous?
Jared comes along as well.
Look at this game. There's only like 5 colors on every flop.
Big John just calls.
On one of the $1 million cash games, or it's like, Bill, I'm coming after your straddle.
Gil's in actually a spot that's somewhat similar to the spot that JJ faced a hand ago, where he's got an overpair on a paired board, and because he's got people behind him slow playing, it's hard to know where he's at.
No, he's like, excuse me?
Oh, that's
Gil's going to bomb this.
I figured that he said wussy, but I thought it was like,
that's
pretty hilarious.
Pretty gross spot for Jared, who has to be pretty frustrated after having folded ace-queen in a big pot a second ago.
On in.
And Big John's going to stick it in here, and he's way ahead.
Go twice. We're going twice. Twice.
Gil drawing dead to an 8 here on the river. Let's see 2 rivers. Neither one is an 8, so Big John's going to get the double up. Hold it. The stream runs for 15 more minutes. We're going to call here from Francisco with pocket 5s. JJ
100.
also with King 8 offsuit.
300.
Big John making it 100 with ace queen off.
Oh, yeah.
Haracha getting funky with the jack 9 off, making it 300. Gil cold calls.
Get some more hands in. You gotta hurry these hands up.
I'm sitting.
Big John presumably going to be in there as well. He is.
The highest viewership ever.
Just check by the way.
And Julie's gonna be so
And Big John flops 2 pair.
crushes crazy Ante game.
Check.
Straight draw for
Nice
Haracha
little talk.
and a gutter for Gil.
Check all the way. You want to check?
Let me see what I'm in for, because I think I'm in for.
All right, John.
That's my boy.
Big John's going to ship it. It should
Check all in my balls.
get Haracha to make a very frustrating fold.
Check all the balls.
Sure, you can show.
Jay Ziegler says, stream is pre-recorded, right? Well, sort of, yeah. It's on a 15-minute delay. I'm commentating on it live, but everything you see on your screen happened 15 minutes ago.
How much is it? 5,000?
4,545. 45. I have to take it. I put it inside. Yep.
4,500.
45. Yeah.
Oh, Johnny boy.
So Haracha does fold, and Gil now has an annoying decision also with top pair and a gutter.
Mana fade.
Oh, you have to get in trouble.
Try to get me a readout out of here.
They do.
That's why you have to get me in
I
trouble.
like
That's what you
two.
did. Got me in trouble.
That's my job, man. I'm paid for that.
Yeah.
People are in trouble.
Yeah, if you don't be in trouble, you can be gamble.
Yeah, all in free with terrible hands.
It's like a
Big
turbo
John's
short
going to let
stack
Gil
tournament.
pick one.
Oh,
Those are my
wow.
favorite.
I love it. Tur-
Oh, he's letting you look at one and then make the decision?
Doesn't necessarily, I don't know what card, he picked the queen, and I'm not sure if that makes
Okay, I know.
Gil's decision much easier.
Pretty good about the other one's red. Yeah, that doesn't matter because, I mean, look.
Is it flush draw?
What did you show?
Queens versus flush draw, maybe?
Ace of spades.
8 space.
He showed an ace of spades? Or 8 of spades?
600.
Gil's still trying to come to a decision. I know I can see the cards, but I think I'd probably let this go,
2 spades?
given how
How many times?
Big John just doesn't tend to take a lot of aggressive actions unless he has it, especially not this deep.
You ever hold it?
1 time?
They're gonna run it twice, it sounds like.
2 times.
John can still hit a king. Excuse me, Gil can still hit a
Yeah, that was a
king,
good word for you.
but he doesn't, and John's gonna get the double up.
You don't believe it, John?
Fucking John.
John, you prayed.
Big John the pro.